to 80 Sports, where we bring the dynamic sports talk into your living room with
Alex,
Danny,
and Day.
And so today we're going to be discussing a little bit of detail in the Dolphins firing of Brian Flores. Was this the right or wrong move? Why did they do it? And a little bit about the current win now nature that's going on in really modern day football, not just the NFL. But we'll start off with Alex. You think this was the right or the wrong move here?
I think it was the wrong move, in my personal opinion. Brian Flores took over pretty much like the bottom of the barrel, bottom feeder team when he came in. Went 5-11 his first year. Then his second year went 10-6, and this year he went 9-8. He started out 1-7 this year and brought back the team from 1-7 to 9-8, barely missing playoffs. I feel like it was the wrong move. This was the first consecutive winning season since 2003 for the Dolphins. I don't know why they did it, but from what I'm hearing, might have been a rift between Flores and upper ownership and Flores and Tua situation. Don't know if Flores wanted Tua. Probably wanted to draft Herbert over Tua. What do you guys think?
From what I've read, the main thing I've seen is that there was a power struggle between the GM and Flores, and the GM, I guess, won out. But, man, when I'm looking at these other names like David Culley of the Texans, Joe Judge of the Giants, Matt Nagy of the Bears, Mike Zimmer of the Vikings, Vic Fangio of the Broncos, and then you have Urban Meyer and John Gruden, who also got the axe this year. Man, I'm like, Brian Flores just doesn't seem like he should be in that bunch there. I think a lot of these other guys sort of deserved it, maybe with the exception, of Zimmer, but he had sort of been there a while, and I think they were just ready for a change. But, man, I don't understand it with Flores. I think he was trending in the right direction, and I think most of the team was probably receptive to him. And, maybe Tua either was or wasn't, but, just starting a complete rebuild is certainly a head-scratcher to me. Another thing that I read was there was certainly some rift, specifically between the GM and Flores, that had to do with the draft capital. Apparently the Dolphins have quite a bit of it, and Flores sort of wanted to utilize some of it to upgrade the roster, get better players. I don't think that the Dolphins have a particularly talented roster, and the GM seemed to be playing the long game, which is obviously pretty tough for a head coach in the modern day NFL because it's such a win now league. But that's my opinion is that the Dolphins are going to regret this decision. But what do you feel, Dave?
It's a stupid decision. If it's going between a rift between GM and head coach and all that, and they said some players didn't like him, but most of them, especially the defensive guys, really liked him. They said there was something with him and Tua, and ultimately it was going to be who's going to be with this team in the future. Is it Tua or Brian Flores? Well, as I've said since day one, Tua's a bust. I don't care about his winning record. I don't care about his stats right now. Look at Tua. Look at the guys drafted with him. Would anybody take Tua over Herbert or Burrow? No. Tua's not the guy. They had to bench him for Ryan Fitzpatrick a whole lot last year to win games. I mean, you are not the quarterback of the future if they're taking you out of the game. So the backup, who should have not even been the backup because they were winning when he was the starter, can come in and bail you out. And, Flores completely turned that team around. They played way above expectations both years. Mediocre quarterback play. I think it's going to come back and bite them. Brian Flores is going to go turn around another garbage team. Tua's going to fizzle out in Miami. I don't know if it'll be next year or the year after, but they'll be looking to move on from him.
Now, Dave, do you give Tua any extra credit for maybe playing with a bad offensive line, or you don't buy that?
Nope. Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert are playing with the worst offensive lines in the league the last 2 years, and they seem to be playing just fine. Let's get the ball out of your hand faster. A lot of guys are dealing with adversity. They're giving Tua weapons. They're tailoring the offense around Tua. The defense was playing great. Everything was set for him. when it's on the line, when it comes down to the important games, Tua looked amazing in college. Everybody thought he was the best one coming out. They kind of overlooked the games where Alabama had to play equal competition and these other teams could actually get to him. He folds under pressure. He did it against Clemson. He did it against Georgia. He's doing it in the NFL. I mean, the Dolphins' offensive line was tremendously better this year than they were last year. Was Tua tremendously better? Did he do anything special? He still has an injury problem. He's still injury prone. I mean, wrong choice. Flores turned them around. I think the Jaguars or some other bottom feeder team like the Jets should be really looking closely at taking him on because that's where the Dolphins were before they had him.
I kind of feel like the decision was bad because Brian Flores did have the Patriots number this year. Swept them this year. But I would like maybe Houston. Houston has Patriot ties for Brian Flores to go there.
He did want Deshaun Watson, they said.
Maybe Denver, but my out of edge team would be Jacksonville. I kind of want to see Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville defense, what they would be with the defensive-minded coach.
That'd be very interesting indeed. Another thing I thought of wasn't it just a few years ago that the Dolphins were all over the news and ESPN for having, he was either an offensive coordinator or offensive line coach or some coach that was snorting cocaine, I think it was. And that guy, I don't think he really got fired until it sort of leaked out into the media. And it's just crazy to me that they could have stuff like that going on, and then Flores would get canned so quick. But I don't understand it. Most of us don't understand it. But we've seen wacky things in football. I mean, look at this Aaron Rodgers situation. They wouldn't really give him an extended contract because there's some internal struggles with the GM. And we see it all the time, and it's just strange to us that they can't find a solution.
And all the drama with the Raiders and John Gruden. They just fired Mike Mayock.
I know someone that said John Gruden was a bad hiring the minute they did it. The same person that said Urban Meyer was a terrible hiring the second they did it because I never even bought him as a good college coach. He just jumped around to the most talented teams and, left when the talent left with him. So, no surprise that Urban Meyer was awful in the NFL.
Yeah, it's very true. And, tough transition from college to the NFL. And Urban was out just as quick as he came in. Can't get away with some of that stuff in the National Football League. But
maybe bring Jim Harbaugh up, though. If any coach is coming up from college, it would be Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. One thing that I think would, if I was the owner of the Dolphins too, I think, if the GM and naturally you're going to have some rift between the GM and the coach. That makes sense that the coach is like, hey, let's use some draft capital. Let's upgrade this roster right now. And the GM is kind of thinking for the future. But man, I think I'd put them together with a therapist and just be like, you two need to work it out, man, because they were trending in the right direction with a team that really didn't have the most talent in the NFL. So it's just interesting. But
I feel like that this situation could have been worked out because obviously it was not a football decision. It couldn't have been a football decision if Flores took over the team and turned them around in such a short amount of time. So something was definitely up with ownership, the GM, and Flores.
Yeah. Well, that wraps up, I think, our segment here on ADD Sports, breaking down the Flores firing. We look forward to seeing you on our next segment.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button.
Absolutely helps us out a lot. Thank you very much.